Welcome to Cheat Code Nutrition, the podcast where science meets strategy to help you decode your body and unlock next level health. I'm your host, Ellie Young, functional nutrition practitioner and genetic testing nerd, here to guide you through the real root causes of fatigue, stubborn weight, hormonal chaos, and mystery symptoms the traditional system shrugs off. Whether you're optimizing for longevity, performance, or just want to feel like yourself again, you're in the right place. Around here, we don't guess, we test. We use functional lab work, genetic nutrition, and a no BS approach to precision wellness that works with your body, not against it. If you're ready to ditch the one size fits all protocols and start working with your actual blueprint, this is your cheat code. Let's get into it. Welcome back to Cheat Code Nutrition, everybody. Today's episode is all about the art of being flexible. Now, I am not talking about yoga. I'm not talking about body flexibility. I'm talking about mental flexibility that can literally help you feel better, reduce inflammation in your body, and maybe even prevent that next autoimmune flare or crash. Totally speaking from experience here, but this episode is for you if you've ever found yourself in a stress spiral, gripping life too tightly and wondering why your body feels like it's fighting back. So let me tell you a little story here. September worked me, not because something tragic happened, but because life just lifed me really hard, right? I think it's a combination of back to school and all of the crazy sports and just the changing of the seasons. And every week just kind of felt like a new curveball. The school schedules were shifting. I'm trying really hard to not get sick and not let the kids get sick. Projects piling up, unexpected appointments, all of the little life disruptions that on their own honestly don't seem like that much. But together, they sent me into a full-blown Hashimoto's flare. My energy dropped, my migraines hit, my mood was low, and I felt inflamed, puffy, and honestly, just kind of stuck again, mentally kind of stuck. Like, wow, like what is happening to me? And I knew on some level that I had kind of done this to myself because it's not like, you could really point to anything and be like, oh, that's what's causing this. And so that awareness kind of was the tipping point for me and getting another awful migraine. Every time I get a migraine, I'm like, something is wrong. What is off and how can you fix this? Because I know I can do something about this. But October came and you know what? The chaos didn't go away. Life was still really unpredictable. But what changed was me and my ability to react differently. I stopped trying to control everything. I let go of the tight grip I had on quote unquote the plan, right? I'm a really regimented person. I love a routine. I actually love the season of going back to school because I love efficiency. I love getting into a groove with things and kind of learning how to optimize it. If you've been listening to me long enough, you'll know that one of my favorite things to do is to optimize. I like to find the best way, the fastest, most efficient way to do something to get the best outcome. And I live that way in my life. I'm always trying to optimize. But what it creates for me is this rigidity in my unwillingness when my plans don't go to plan, right? And um I have learned, again, this I'm still a work in progress, to just kind of laugh at the ridiculousness of how much life can throw you curveballs, right? And it was kind of funny, just the series of events that took place that kind of just were like, huh, life is really trying to teach you this lesson. Like, you cannot have a tight hold on these plans. You have to learn how to ride the wave, how to go with the flow. Even though I talk about that a lot, I'm not able to do these things, right? I'm in this profession because I want to figure things out and figure the best way. And life isn't like that. Life wants you to just float and be okay with whatever direction things are going to go. And somehow that shift in my body, allowing myself to laugh at the ridiculousness of it and to pivot with positivity, my body calmed down and I didn't have a Hashimoto's flare. I actually felt good again. And it made me realize my reaction to stress is making me sick. I have known this for a while, but what I hadn't actually been able to do yet was to beat it, was to not stress, was to actually let go. All of the mindfulness tricks, all of the yoga, all of the breath work, all of the, you know, I do that stuff, but I don't know if I fully internalize it. What really worked for me was to really honestly just let go of this idea that things are going to go according to plan. This is life. I am 44. I should know by now they are not going to go to plan. Things are going to be all over the place. And learning to be flexible is the medicine. So today we're breaking this down. How stress is inflaming you. Let's get into this part right now. Let's talk about what's actually happening in your body when you're stressed. When you feel overwhelmed, your brain activates the HPA axis. This is your hypothalamus, pituitary, and adrenal glands all going into fight or flight. This is the fight or flight response. Cortisol gets pumped out, your digestion actually slows down, and your body shifts into survival mode. It basically puts all other systems on halt and it's like, we need to survive this moment. So even digestion stops, right? So that they're like, ooh, you have to fight this tiger, right? That alone is enough to disrupt your gut. But there's more. Your gut and brain are in constant communication through something called the gut-brain axis. And one of the main messengers is this vagus nerve. You've heard about this. This nerve helps calm your system down. But if you're constantly stressed, it's like your internal off switch gets jammed and it's just on. You are just chronically stressed. When stress becomes chronic, it actually starts to damage the gut lining. The tight junctions that keep everything in place start to loosen up, and stuff that's not supposed to leak into your bloodstream, like toxins, undigested food particles, and inflammatory molecules like LPS, start slipping through. This is why I have a Hashimoto's flare. Stuff starts to slip through, and that's where your immune system lies. And 70% of your immune system my immune system likes to, instead of attacking these these undigested food particles, inflammatory things, it attacks my thyroid. So stress creates the leaky gut. It opens up, starts letting things through, and then the immune system starts to go a little haywire. This is what we call leaky gut. And those particles that are sneaking through the gut, they don't just stay in the gut. They travel, they reach your brain. They trigger immune responses. They contribute to things like brain fog, anxiety, depression, and yes, autoimmune flares in my case. So your gut, again, is where 70% of your immune system lives, and it's also where you make most of your serotonin and dopamine. So when stress is disrupting your gut, it's not just a stomach thing, it's an everything thing. Again, everything starts in the gut, but our stress response is attacking our gut. So are we coping or are we causing this? How we make it worse? This is the problem. Let's talk about how we tend to handle stress. We push through, we skip meals, we drink more coffee, more caffeine, we reach for sugar, we have that glass or maybe 3 of wine to take the edge off. Sound familiar? I know I did all of this stuff and I'm still guilty. Other than the drinking, I'm still guilty of doing all these other things to power through, all in the name of holding on to this stress, right? Of like believing we can still control it and that if we just fight through it, we can somehow like win this battle with stress. I see this especially in women, especially moms who are just trying to hold it all together. And I get it. I have done it all. But here's the truth. Most often when we are pushing through stress, we wind up putting ourselves in a position where we ultimately need to self-medicate. And alcohol is one of the first things people reach for. I see this all the time with my clients. They're doing really, really great on their alcohol-free journey, and then life throws them a curveball, and the stress is so heavy that they feel like there is no way to get through it other than to drink. They want to be sedated. They want to not experience that stress. But alcohol directly damages your gut lining and alters your microbiome. It literally fuels the same inflammation that's making you feel anxious, tired, foggy, stressed, right? And then we eat the processed food, which is low in fiber, so it's not feeding the good gut bacteria. This reduces the production of the postbiotics. This is what the gut bacteria are creating, which is short chain fatty acids. These are anti-inflammatory compounds that help maintain the gut barrier and even support your brain. So we are literally using two things, alcohol and processed food, that is basically cutting out from under us this feature of our gut that allows us to heal, that seals the gut and allows us to feel good mentally well. It's like absolutely destroying us. And then caffeine on an empty stomach. Maybe you're one of those people who doesn't eat when they're stressed. I don't know what that's like. I'm a stress eater. Um, all of these can throw your microbiome further off track. Okay, so when we're stressed and we cope this way, we're not soothing ourselves. We're sabotaging our system. It's like having a beautiful ecosystem, this beautiful forest in your gut, a thriving ecosystem. And then stress is like a wildfire that slowly starts to like burn through. And then we drink alcohol, and that's like pouring gasoline on the fire. So, the art of flexibility. Here's the big shift I want to offer you. It's not about managing the stress. I hear this all the time, and honestly, I know every tactic. I'm still not very good about it. I don't know if it's about managing the stress, or for me, it's about becoming more flexible. We get stressed because we care, right? We care about being on time. We care about doing a good job. We care about showing up for people. We want to please everybody. But sometimes we care ourselves into a flare, right? A stress flare. When life throws a curveball, your kids get sick, your plans change, the traffic is worse than than you expected. You have two choices. You can resist it. You can create that internal friction and fight it and be upset. You can grit your teeth and spiral. This is what I did most of September. Or you can pivot. Hold everything lightly. Laugh at the absurdity. Yeah, life is just doing that to you right now. Okay. Let go of the idea that everything has to go according to plan. Now, this doesn't mean you stop making plans or setting intentions. I am like a big intention setter. I'm a big goal setter. I love making plans. Like I said, I'm always trying to optimize. But it means you learn to bend, not break. And what asks you to bend does not mean it's going to break you. Because here's the truth. Flexibility is actually a form of resilience. It's not giving up. It's adapting. It's looking at the chaos and saying, okay, universe, I see you. Let's dance. Let's laugh. All right? This is absurd, right? The amount of things that went wrong for me last week was absurd. And I literally was also in my late luteal phase. So I'm giving myself double points for getting through last week, which was just silly. And again, I was thinking about telling you guys all the things that went wrong, but they sound so stupid now when I look back at them. But like as they added up, again, I was just like, this is a test. Life is really just trying to be like, let's make sure she's learned this lesson that like you really can't hold on to anything too tightly. You have to just be prepared for it to go awry. And that's okay. But still make the plans, still be trying hard, still have intentions. And I also say, I have a good friend who's always about lower your expectations. If you have low expectations, then nothing can let you down. And I get that to some extent, but I'm also still, I love this idea of connecting to your future self and having an expectation that amazing things are possible and that you can have these plans, you can have these goals, and to connect to that and believe in it. So you can like create those pathways that these things are possible. So I don't want you to think that this is a past, like, well, I guess I can't plan anything and I can't have any, goals for myself. I'm talking mostly about like the self-care stuff that gets lost in the way when life throws us curveballs, right? But it's okay to have all those goals and those amazing plans for yourself and then to have things kind of be like, well, not today. Today is not the day. And I also want to say that if a series of unfortunate events has kept you from taking care of yourself, it is also okay for the next thing that goes wrong to say, you know what? I am going to deal with that, but I'm going to deal with it later because what's most important is that I take care of myself first, right? That this is how we zoom out for perspective, right? If your need for control is making you sick, it's time to rethink your priorities. Our ultimate goal with all of this is health, it's well-being, it's peace, not just for ourselves, but for our families, the example we are setting for our loved ones, right? So when we feel the stress rising, we can ask, is this really worth getting inflamed over? Not everything is a crisis. Not everything deserves a full body stress response. And I have had to learn this the hard way. I feel like I am managing stress mentally okay, but my body is responding. So my body is doing something else. And I have had to, somehow I got the body thing right this month. And I think it was truly that I just decided I wasn't going to be upset when things didn't work out. And I was like, all right, I guess I'll be driving my son's laptop to the school. All right, I guess it's downpouring rain and my husband's out of town. And now there's an accident and I'm going to be driving round trip in the car for the next hour. Things like that. It's just, you just have to laugh at it and pivot and say, all this other stuff can wait. What's most important is my health, letting things go, and just being grateful, being grateful that things aren't worse, that you have all the things that bring you joy in your life. And I had to remind myself a lot of that. And the way I tapped into that gratitude this past week was getting outside, sunshine. We had some crazy, beautiful weather here, taking walks. And just being super grateful for my family and my loved ones and connecting and snuggling them as much as possible, even though I got nothing done on a work front. I got nothing done around the house. All these kind of things that add up that kind of stress you out. But in the big picture, they just seem so stupid, right? They just seem so stupid when you list them out. You're just like, well, yeah, that's really not that big a deal. Okay? The everyday stuff, the schedule changes, the mess, the noise. What if we could just let all that go? What if we could see our health, our gut health in particular, like a garden, and every choice we make about stress, about what we let into our internal ecosystem, is either tending to that garden or it's torching it. So this is your gentle PSA from someone who's been there. Hold it lightly, not because it doesn't matter, but because you matter more. Your health matters. Your peace matters. Your gut and your brain need you to stop gripping so tightly. So the next time life throws a curveball, and it will, ask yourself, can I pivot instead of panic? Can I laugh instead of lash out? Can I remember that flexibility might just be the best wellness tool I have? Thanks for listening today. If this resonated, I'd love for you to share it with a friend who's gripping a little too tightly this week. And until next time. Oh, wait, I do want to also share with you my foundations reset. If this episode lit a little fire under you to start caring for your gut and your whole body with more intention, I would love for you to check out my foundations reset. This is your entry point into the world of functional nutrition. See it as like kind of my introductory offer where I teach you exactly how to heal yourself and your gut with food, without the overwhelm. This is the reset your body has been asking for with less inflammation, more energy, deeper calm. You get to meet with me on 2 different occasions. The first one is really just for me to get to know you and to kind of do a deep dive into your health, your symptoms, any current labs you already have. If you want labs, I can order them for you. And it's really just for me to look at your whole body wellness and to see what your goals are and to, fine tune and start making some adjustments to your diet. And then the second appointment would be to review any labs that we ordered or to just go a little bit deeper on your wellness strategy, diet strategies. I do supplement audits where I go through all of the supplements that you're taking and we clean it up and we make sure that you are taking the things that are going to get the most bang for your buck, fill in the gaps nutritionally where you might be missing stuff, and to help you move forward in your wellness strategy with confidence and clarity. So, this is dipping your toe into the functional medicine world, functional nutrition world. So, if that's something you're interested to, head on over to my website, mycheatcodenutrition.com, to check it out. As always, I am with you. You got this. Thanks for tuning in to Cheat Code Nutrition. If today's episode sparked some curiosity about what your genes are trying to tell you, grab my free guide, 5 Genes You Should Know to Optimize Your Health. It's linked for you in the show notes. And if you're ready to skip the guesswork and start working with your actual blueprint, check out my genetic nutrition coaching offer, also linked in the show notes. Your next level of health might just be one test away. Until next time, stay curious, stay nourished, and don't forget, your body's not broken. It just speaks a different language. Let's learn to speak it fluently.